live stream, Ben, and they'll go ahead and get started.
Good morning.
Oh. Ben, are we set to go?
We good to go? Yes. Sorry about that. I thought I said it.
Good morning, everyone. This is a public meeting convened to review the FY22 Indiana Arts Commission Arts Organization Support Grant Program applications for Region 2. I am Sonia Nash from the Elkhart County Convention and Visitor Bureau located in Elkhart, Indiana, and I will be facilitating the panel today. Today is April the 19th, 2021, and we are meeting online and streaming live for applicants and the public to observe. Applications will be in the description on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. There is no contact between the panel and the audience about the disposition of the applicants before, during, or after the panel meeting. This meeting will be recorded and be made available upon request. At this time, I will individually invite each of the panelists and then the staff to introduce themselves. Panelists will state their name, their occupation, and where they are from in the state. And staff will state their title and role. So let's start with the panel. I'll start by introducing each of you by your first name so you can share about yourself. Heather, welcome.
Hi, I'm Heather Fry. I'm a grant proposal writer for WNIT in St. Joseph County, Indiana.
Thank you. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Lisa Miller and I'm from Plymouth, Indiana, and I'm an attorney.
We're glad you're here. Alexandra or Alex?
Alex. I'm Alex Shively. I am in South Bend, Indiana, and I am a museum educator.
Perfect. Welcome. And Katie.
Hi, my name is Katie Zeman. I am in Warsaw, Indiana, Kosciuszko County, and I am a community coordinator for Cardinal Services.
We're glad you're here. Thank you all. Now let's move on to the staff. Please provide your name, title, and your role here today. We'll start with Kayla, the program manager.
Hey, I'm Kayla Myers with the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County. We are the regional arts partner with the Indiana Arts Commission, and I am the program manager.
Great. Also joining us from the Community Foundation is Angela Workman.
Hi, I'm Angela Workman, Vice President of Program at the Community Foundation. Kayla's running the show, and I'll be in the background learning.
Well, we all do great with that. Thank you, Angela. And now to the Indiana Arts Commission staff, Paige Sharp, Deputy Director of Programs.
Hi, everybody. I'm Paige Sharp. I'm with the Indiana Arts Commission, the Deputy Director of Programs. And today I'm just here to share a few words at the beginning and just observe and learn as well.
Thank you. And Ben, who is making all great things happen. Tell us about your role.
My name is Benjamin Thomas. I'm just the technical support here for the meeting here today.
There's no just about that, Ben. That's like the key part. So we're glad you're here. Thank you for all that you do. At this time, I'd like to invite Paige to join us once again and welcome and say a few words. Paige, take it away. It's certainly been a challenging year, so we look forward to your comments.
Oh, thank you so much, Sonia. I really appreciate that. Before we begin the panel, I wanted to share a few words on behalf of the Indiana Arts Commission. First and foremost, of course, thank you, panelists, for sharing your time and experience. You've participated in specialized training to prepare for this work, which this year includes how to reduce implicit bias in the review process. And you've spent many hours reviewing these applications, lending your expertise to assure a high quality process. To all here and those listening in, we want to say a few words about why this year's panel process is so different. As longtime panel observers will soon discover, We've been very clear from the beginning of this upcoming grant cycle in our guidelines, in the application, and in the training that our focus would be on what's most important right now, and that is to responsibly support our arts organizations at this critical time. And for this grant cycle, that means supporting organizations that demonstrate they are operating and will continue to operate during the FY22 grant period. As a result of these changes, you may hear very little dialogue and feedback about your application. That in no way reflects a lack of dedication to a thorough evaluation process. It is merely a reflection of this unique time and unique process. Again, thank you for all you do for the arts in Indiana. Go ahead, Sonia, appreciate the time.
Thank you, Paige. We can't appreciate all of that you do enough. And so we're very appreciative. So now let's jump in and begin this panel review. First, let's go over a little bit about how the process, as Paige mentioned, this process is a lot different than in the past. So let's begin by sharing. There will be an application pool for operating support and then for merit award consideration. And each of those two sections have a very distinct process. For both processes, if a panelist has a conflict of interest, that panelist will be placed on hold in a waiting room while the application is reviewed. Ben, our tech guy, is going to take care of that for us. So you'll see a panelist at times, and we do have 3 that will be placed in the hold room at the appropriate time. So let's go first over the process for the operating support, which is the first section. In this process, the panelists will be coming to a consensus on each application. They will use a summary sheet that has the results of their individual pre-panel assessments, which were based upon the operational resiliency. The panel will come to a consensus for each application to make one of 3 following recommendations to the Indiana Arts Commission. The first is that it will be a yes, recommended for funding as the application was provided. The second is no. Unfortunately, they do not recommend the application be funded. And third, yes, recommended for funding with required modifications. The required modifications will be determined by the panel. This means that the Indiana Arts Commission and the partners will follow up with the applicants after the panel to collect information to ensure the panelists' concerns are addressed. Once the decision has been made for each application, the staff will record the decision. And once the review for the operating support is complete, we'll move to the merit process. Or if needed, we'll take a short break, depending upon how things go. So for the merit review process, which is very different from the operating process, all applicants that elected to submit for the merit consideration were assigned a reader from the panelists today. And today, the panel will be using the reader process to discuss those applications. The reader will provide their assessment of the application based upon the evaluation criteria. My role will be to assist in helping to make sure that evaluation criteria is what is being communicated. Panelists, please note, there's no need to provide a recap of what was submitted since everyone has read the application. And we just ask that you provide your comments at that time. After the first reader is finished, I'll open the discussion for final comments from all panelists. In the interest of time, we'll only look for new, additional, or opposing viewpoints. We won't go around the room and have everybody provide comments. Once the application has been reviewed by the full panel, we ask the panel to update their scores on the online system. It is common for scores to change as a result of this broader discussion, and that's certainly acceptable and understandable. And these scores are saved automatically in the online system. Are there any questions by the panelists at this time? If so, we ask you unmute yourself and please share. Having seen no questions, let's begin. So on the screen is a list of applications that will be reviewed today. And those applications are in alphabetical order. To begin the review for the operating support, panelists, please draw your attention to your resiliency assessment summary sheet that was provided to you this morning. We'll start our review in batches by consensus type. Panelists, I want to draw your attention to the rows in green on your sheet. There are 12 out of the applications that are in that green section on your summary sheet. These are where you all have consensus to recommend the applications for funding as provided, with a yes from all 4 of you. Take a moment to review the list in green at this time. Do any of you have any concerns about recommending any of these applications for funding? If so, please raise your hand. Having seen none, if there are no recommendations or considerations for concerns out of those 12 applications in green, I would like to ask the panel, do you agree to recommend these 12 applications in green on your resilience summary sheet for funding? If yes, if each of you could give a thumbs up on your screen at this time for your official vote. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, thank you. So Kayla, please take note. We have consensus. 4 panelists have recommended the following applications for funding based upon their application today. And those are the Elkhart Civic Theater, the Elkhart County Symphony Association, the Fischoff National Chamber Music Association, Heartland Artists, the Lakeland Arts Association, Inc., Main Stage, Inc., Patchwork Dance Company, South Bend Civic Theater, South Bend Symphony Orchestra Association, Inc., South Bend Youth Symphony Orchestras, Inc., The Village, a Community Arts Alliance, Inc., and Wild Rose Moon. Thank you very much for all of you for your help with those initial 12 applications. Now let's guide our attention to the next round of applications. There are 4 applicants who are with recommendations or with support documentation. These 4 applications are, the majority of you said yes, but recommended with modifications, and some were separate. So to facilitate this, let's utilize the opportunity to raise any comments or concerns. For those of you who voted it as with modifications, please unmute yourself and share with us what your concerns that you found by reviewing that application.
Are we starting with the acting ensemble since it's first?
Yes, I'm sorry. We are
Okay.
starting with the acting ensemble application.
Okay, with regard to acting ensemble, I had said yes with modification. I just didn't feel that there was a lot of information about how they're preserving or advancing the art form for the upcoming year. So I recommended more clarity and information on what they're doing to preserve and advance their art form. And the comment that I just think it's important to have more information on what they have planned for the upcoming season in terms of more public offerings, and or what conditions that they will wait for before beginning to work on productions. They're doing a lot of internal stuff right now, which I think has been absolutely warranted over the last year. I just would have appreciated seeing a little bit more in terms of their plans for the upcoming year and what would trigger them beginning to sort of open back up for their normal programming.
I can appreciate that. Having the correct amount of information certainly would add to your scoring, and that certainly makes a lot of sense. Would anybody else have any additional comments or would like to discuss Heather's concern?
I guess I would echo Heather's comments. Also, I thought it would be helpful to see a little bit more specific plan for their fundraising events. I think they mentioned some fundraising, but didn't really go into like any targets or more specifics about those. So if there could just be a little bit more development too, as far as their fundraising, that would be helpful, I think.
So what I'm hearing, if we could gather from the acting ensemble additional information about fundraising and planning, then you would all vote consensus-wise that the application would be funded. Would that be an accurate statement? If so, please raise your thumb up in the box. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, Kayla, please note that with those 2 additional pieces of information, the acting ensemble is approved, yes, with those modifications and additional information being provided to the Indiana Arts Council. Next, we'll move on to the Musical Arts Indiana, Inc. Once again, we'll go through the same process. For those of you who had comments or concerns, please unmute yourself and share with us what type of additional information or modifications you'd like to see.
So I said yes with regarding the financial statements. It looked like they were operating at a more significant loss this year, but they also left sections of the income section blank on the budget. And I just didn't know if that was because they needed to be zeroed out or if there was additional information that could have been put in those sections. So I had yes with required modifications of just updating that income section of their budget.
Sure. Once again, that makes sense. Are there other comments or modification requests by any of the panelists for the Musical Arts Indiana, Inc.?
I believe that their social media outlets could really be utilized a lot more. I felt that there were some gaps there, and just given the online times that we're in now, that's an excellent way for an organization to be able to still engage with their constituents during a time when we're separated. And then the appearance on paper, to me, and this could be incorrect just because of how I interpret everything, but it just appears as though maybe their board of directors could be a lot more engaged than what they are at the moment. I know it's a unique situation with the structure that they have internally with their staff. But I feel like, especially during pandemic times, that the board of directors could really be overutilized.
So to summarize what I've heard for the Musical Arts Indiana, additional information that would be requested and required for funding would be an updated budget on the income side, clarification on those blanks, a plan for a social media strategy, and a board engagement strategy.
I don't know if I necessarily feel as though the board engagement needs an actual strategy. I think they could really benefit it. But as far as social media, I think the organization could truly benefit from a social media plan for sure.
So with the 2 requests for additional information with modifications, an updated income budget that would have complete filled spaces and a social media plan provided, with those 2 additional modifications provided, would the 4 of you move to give a thumbs up for funding? Would you build consensus? If so, please indicate now. All right, Kayla, please note that the Musical Arts Indiana has been approved for funding with those modifications as stated. We will move on to the Southold Dance Theater. The Southold Dance Theater, if you have comments and concerns that you found by reviewing that application, please unmute yourself and share with us your comments.
Sure. I thought that overall, Southold has done a phenomenal job over this last year of adapting to a very difficult situation. It's especially in the work that they do. They've just done a fantastic job. But hold on, I'm bringing up my comments.
Sure, take your time.
My concern was predominantly related to the budget shortfall projected for this year. I just felt that they could, that we would have benefited from more information, and I was requesting that they provide more detail on how they'll address the budget shortfall, which is currently projected to be 20%. And there just wasn't any detail in the application that I saw, and so that was predominantly my concern.
Additional information is always helpful when you're not familiar, right? You're just looking at the words on a paper. You don't know all of the ins and outs. Are there any other comments, concerns by any of the other panelists? Having seen none, if we could gauge once again by vote with a thumbs up for the Southold Dance Theater to resubmit with modifications, the detail regarding budget shortfall, what their plan and strategy is that. If you would say that that would be appropriate, if you'll give a thumbs up, then we will have consensus. Okay, Kayla, please note that the Southold Dance Theater, we have a consensus vote with a modification of an updated budget shortfall plan and strategy. Next up is the Maple City Chamber Orchestra Society, Inc. We would ask you to unmute and share with us if you've had any comments or concerns of what you found while you were reading.
Sure. Again, so I feel like they've wisely used their time over the past year to focus on strengthening organizational sustainability and laid so much groundwork for future projects. I would have liked to have seen more information about the 2021-22 season and plans for the entire year beyond the concert in October. It was unclear to me what their typical schedule of performances and events looks like, and if they're planning more than one event in the upcoming year. So for me, I recommended yes with modifications, requesting more clarity and information on preserving and advancing the art form.
Sure. I can appreciate that, not knowing what their full schedule is like. Would there be any other comments or concerns or modification requests? All right, having seen none, if the Maple City Chamber Orchestra Society, Inc. provides an updated schedule that is more complete with additional details, would you consider yes for this application? Thumbs up in the screen. 2, 3, 4. All right, Kayla, please note that the Maple City Chamber Orchestra Society is moving on with yes with modification and requesting of a schedule. That's excellent. So now we're moving on to our section where we have 3 applications where people have all been voted with consensus. Alex, Heather, and Katie each have a personal conflict, so they need to go to the hold room. And so we'll see you soon, ladies. We're going to get to be much shorter amount of people here pretty soon on the screen. So Ben, I think you're moving Alex, Heather, and Katie to the hold room.
Yeah, and I think we'll do, Alex will be moved first for South Bend Museum of Art, and then we'll bring her back and move on to the next one, if Ben can move Alex.
Sure. Bye, Alex. See you soon. All right. So we have the South Bend Museum of Art, and each of you have indicated in advance your resiliency score with a yes. Can I see a thumbs up in the screen or are there any comments that you would like to share? Thumbs up okay. Kayla, please note that the South Bend Museum of Art has a consensus and has been approved yes without modifications or any need for additional information. All right, Ben, let's bring Alex back in and we'll then move on to the Ruthmere Foundation, Inc. and we'll send Heather to the hold room. Bye, Heather.
Bye.
Don't travel too fast.
She should be able to join room 2. There we go.
There we go. All right. Welcome back, Alex. Thank you for joining us again. We're reviewing now the Ruthmere Foundation, Inc. The 3 of you have voted and scored the resiliency with a yes for funding. Can we have a thumbs up in the screen that you have not changed and you're still considering this a yes recommendation for funding? 1, 2, 3. Kayla, please note the Ruthmere Foundation has a consensus for funding. That's great. So now we'll bring Heather back in and we'll say goodbye to Katie. See you soon, Katie. This is for the Wagon Wheel Center for the Arts.
Just give me 1 second. It's not doing what I need it to do.
That's all right. I'm glad you say that. I think sometimes it's just me technically can't make things happen. So that's all right.
So we need to move.
Katie out. Yep, no problem.
Should be able to move over there now, Katie.
All right. Welcome back, Heather. Thank you for joining us. We're now reviewing the Wagon Wheel Center for the Arts for their organizational resiliency. Each of you have recommended a yes without modifications. Unless you're wanting to change your comments, please indicate a thumbs up in the screen. 1, 2, 3. Kayla, please note the Wagon Wheel Center for the Arts has been approved. Yes for funding. All right, now we can bring Katie back in. All right. We go faster than your waiting room moving, don't we, Ben?
But
All right, everyone is back here. Thanks so much. Congratulations. You've gotten through the first part. That was pretty good for the organizational resiliency. Good job. Does anybody need a break? Should we take a little break, or are you all doing okay? If you need a break, put a thumbs up.
I think a short one would be.
Short break? Okay, so let's just turn your camera off and we will convene back in 5 minutes. See you soon.
You guys are doing great.
Thank you. And some fun.
I would agree. Thank you all so much.
Now, as soon as Katie hops back on, we'll go ahead and begin again the next round. There's Miss Katie. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us back again. We're here once again with the FY22 Indiana Arts Commission Arts Organization Support Grant Program applications for Region 2. We're getting ready to begin to the Merit Award Consideration List. The applicants merit award system submission. Each of you have updated your scores, put in scores, and through this process now, you will be updating them and submitting a final score. So this process is very different from the one we just completed. So each of you are an assigned reader. We'll make sure and give you time to pull up your documents, your comments, so that you can share. We'd like to remind you, for the rest of you, when after the reader gives their comments, you're welcome to add in, but make sure that it is some new additional comments that the others might not have noticed or mentioned. So at this time, we'll begin with our first application. This is for the Fischoff National Chamber Music Association, and Heather is our reader. Heather, please unmute yourself and share.
Thanks. I thought that Fischoff National Chamber Music Association was able to pivot so quickly last year to come up with a way to engage with students virtually in place of their typical peer ambassador program, which connects local 3rd and 4th grade students with junior level musicians, as well as their fall and winter programs with the schools. They did a great job of engaging teachers in developing and fine-tuning the way that they were rolling out the program. I was impressed with how clever they were and how they engaged students in the new online format, especially given that a lot of students, I'm guessing, in our local schools hadn't yet been introduced to the music, the type of music. So I thought that was really clever. I was also impressed with the soirees that they had with the Andres Place residents for some more one-on-one connection with those residents, as opposed to simply just creating the videos and sharing those for a one-way communication. It would have been helpful to have a little bit more detail, particularly with regard to their fall and winter programming. I had no idea who, I believe it was Collier, the Collier Quartet. I had no idea who they were. I got a little lost in their explanation of the fall and winter programming. And I just felt like it could have been organized a little bit differently for someone who was new to their organization and their programming. But overall, it was obvious they were delivering impactful musical experiences throughout the community during a time when it was so hard for people to really engage with each other. So I thought they did a great job.
Thank you, Heather. Are there any new, additional, or opposing comments from Alex, Lisa, or Katie?
I just wanted to commend them for working so well with the teachers to find out what works best for a classroom. From my own experience, it's hard to figure out what works best for kids at home. And I thought that was a commendable approach.
Excellent comment. Are there any additional comments? If not, we'll ask you to give a thumbs up in the screen so we know that you're ready for the final score. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, ladies, let's have you input your final score for the Fischoff National Chamber Music Association. When you're done, if you could raise your hand, let me know. Done. Then you can put it down. 2, 3, okay.
I'm not sure if I mean, where I do that. I'm sorry, this might.
Kayla.
That's okay, and we can certainly take our time. So
yep.
in the online system, if you want to, you've already put in a score, but if you want to make any changes to that based on the discussion, you are certainly welcome to do so.
Okay, so I can just, okay, thank you, I'm sorry.
Mhm. That's
No
okay.
problem. It's all good. No worries. Take your time. It's okay.
I don't wish to, I'm sorry, I just can't
Oh, no worries.
do it.
No, that's all right. We want it to be fine. I don't know the system, so. You can't find the button or the.
Okay, I just saved it as I did before, so I hope that's okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Does that work, Kayla?
It does, and it will have saved what you put in before. So if you're not actually making any changes, you don't need to
Do anything.
go into each one. Yep.
Thank you.
Got it. Okay, good. Well, that was fun. All right, so we'll move on now to the Heartland Artists. Alex is our reader. Alex, unmute yourself and share.
So I really enjoyed reading their Merit Award consideration application for Heartland Arts. I thought it was commendable that they listened to their community and their constituents, and when everybody requested online programming, they did their best to pivot to that. I also really enjoyed how many new partnerships they came up with, including and especially their Marshall County Jail partnership where they work with the inmates, as well as working with Marshall County Tourism to really integrate themselves into the community and bring the arts to the community. And I thought that those all showed that Heartland Arts is an excellent candidate for a merit award.
Very nice. Thank you, Alex. Are there any additional or new or opposing comments from any of the readers? If not, if you're ready to proceed with your final scoring, please give a thumbs up. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So if you want to change your score, please do so now. Otherwise, we will, and just let me know when you're finished. Katie's done. Okay. Heather's done. If you're finished, just put your thumbs up in the screen. I got Heather and Katie and okay, and Lisa and Alex. All right. Thank you, everyone, for that. We'll move on to the Musical Arts Indiana, Inc. This reader is Lisa. Lisa, share with us. What did you read?
In 2020, the musical arts articulated their desire to, and this is a quote, to see the organization and the arts as a whole just helps heal racial strife rather than contribute to it. And to that end, for their Merit Award consideration, Musical Arts will host a Vesper Diverse Journeys concert in the May of 2022. And this program is kind of a continuation of a program that had already been established. So I don't, though it's an excellent idea and important that it will engage and likely include lots of underserved populations, it's not necessarily new to the organization or a different means of presenting that experience. And it's not very clear whether that concert is arising from specific input from their community. So just a little bit more specific details about that would have been helpful. They did include specific details about past Diverse Journeys concerts, but really didn't provide them for this one that they are hoping to be considered for the Merit Award.
All right. Did any of the other panelists see any of that information? Have any additional comments or opposing comments?
I had a question. I thought that I agree it's a great program to continue and carry forward. I was curious about what other underserved communities are being served. Are the concerts going to be free, or is there going to be a reduced price ticket? Will they be live streaming for schools
Sure.
or long-term healthcare facilities? So I just wanted a little bit more robust description of how the program would really be serving the community at this time.
Sure. Those are great questions and missing information from the application. Any other additional comments? If not, we'll ask you make your final score for the Musical Arts Indiana, Inc. based upon the comments that were shared at this review. Please indicate with a thumbs up on the screen when you're done. And if you have no changes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, thank you, ladies. Now we're moving on to the Patchwork Dance Company. Heather is our reader. We'll give you a minute to pull up any of your comments that you've noted from your review.
Okay. I thought Patchwork Dance Company did a commendable job rallying to make technology work in keeping their art moving forward this past year, regardless of how different it might have felt to dance via Zoom or do virtual concerts. I really like the way they incorporated music from Southwestern Michigan College and photos of artwork from local artists in their final production. I don't recall from their comments if those were new partnerships or if they formed those partnerships over the last year specifically to engage more local artists in the video that they were creating, but I really appreciated that. For their Christmas video in place of their typical concert, I especially liked that they included instruction on how a viewer could try the dance on their own, making it a more interactive experience. I thought that they did, they did what they could to be innovative in the last year, and I just commend them on that.
Excellent, very good review. Are there any additional comments, opposing viewpoints, new information anybody would like to share? If not, we'll ask you make your final score for the Patchwork Dance Company. Either edit your online or keep it the same, whatever you prefer, and indicate with a thumbs up when you're done. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, everybody's done. That was fast. Okay, thank you, ladies. We'll move on to the Ruthmere Foundation, Inc. Heather has a conflict, so Heather needs to go off into the hold room. We know you're going to go play with your kids. No, you're not. So we'll see Heather soon. Katie is our reader, but wait. Okay, there goes Heather. So Katie, please share with us about the Ruthmere Foundation, Inc.
Yes, I through Tea Time, I thought it was very innovative and expanded their outreach. And its purpose was to maintain programming. It's possible the underserved community members benefited from the program, but there's no specific like identifiers to be able to determine if they've been reached, as well as like reach any one single demographic. If I believe that it could be utilized to reaching the underserved. I also love the idea of using the app to learn about history. It reminds me of when you go to a museum and rent the headphones to learn all about the artwork. I feel like that's really engaging. What wasn't clear to me was, although that the fitness hike runs through, fitness hike through history, excuse me, is located in an economically underserved area, it's not clear if there's efforts being made to directly reach out to engage those that are underserved. But otherwise, I felt like it was a really innovative program, and it's almost, I feel like I want to go experience it myself.
Well, that's good. That's a great application then. Alex, Lisa, any opposing comments, any information that maybe you saw that you'd like to share? New information? Having seen none, no hands raised, if you will make your final score for the Ruthmere Foundation, Inc., either keep it the same or edit it online and put up your thumb when it's time that you're done. Hey, that rhymed. Okay, all three ladies, good job. All right, we can bring Heather back in then. So we'll wait for her to come back in before we move on. All right, Heather's back. Thank you for joining us. And we're ready to move on to the South Bend Civic Theater. And Lisa is our reader. So Lisa, tell us all about the Civic Theater.
Sure. So the South Bend Civic Theater remained very nimble throughout the past year, quickly moving from outdoor productions to the virtual world as the COVID case numbers kind of dictated. And they really hosted an amazing and impressive number of art offerings, from workshops to play readings to 24-hour theater productions. They had small cast plays. I mean, they were really busy. They did some really cute, fun things with like singing telegrams to senior living centers. So I think that was really a cute, innovative way to reach out to those who are really suffering during the pandemic, and also underserved populations in general. And then coming forward, they're going to be hosting the first ever Fringe Fest, and involving lots of partnerships with that as well. So they definitely have a wide reach. They've also developed this past year their IDEA task force. So coming in 2022, they will be engaging, they're going to be having the West Side Story, and they're working with other groups to make that a more, I guess, total experience. They'll have at least 400 tickets that they'll be offering free for that. So that's a nice way to reach underserved communities as well. I think they've just been a tremendous workhorse during this whole period. And the only thing I didn't see in it was the articulating how exactly they received input from their communities to direct their programming. But obviously they've been really busy and really used a lot of innovation to reach people during this time.
Sure. Thank you so much, Lisa. Do any of the other panelists have any information, additional comments, opposing comments? Yes, Alex, please share.
I just wanted to add that I'm pleased that they will be integrating some of their virtual programming going forward when in-person programming resumes. I think that's a really great way to reach a wide swath of your audience who may or may not be able to physically attend in person. So I thought that was, it was nice to see that they'd had success doing this now and carrying that forward.
I think that whole hybrid, the mix between virtual and in-person, is here to stay, perhaps. I think we've all become used to that flexibility, and there's a time and a place for both, but appreciate that, Alex. Are there any other comments?
I guess the only thing that I would add to what's already been said is just how impressed I was that they were able to accomplish so much over the last year, especially considering the 5-month furlough of the staff. And that didn't seem to slow them down much. I think that there were a lot of staff giving of their own time, which really spoke to a commitment to the organization. So,
yes, very much so. Resiliency, right? That's the word of the year. Any additional comments? New ones? If not, we'll ask you make your final score, either update or keep it the same for the South Bend Civic Theater online. When you're finished, please indicate with a thumbs up in the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're like on my screen, it's like in a row. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So, all right, good job, ladies. We'll move on to the South Bend Museum of Art. Now, this one, Alex has a conflict, so we'll send Alex off to the hold room, and Heather is our reader. So, Heather, hold up a minute. Wait for Alex to go. There she goes. All right, Heather, tell us all about the Museum of Art.
I thought there is no doubt that the South Bend Museum of Art has been able to pivot this last year to continue bringing artistic opportunities to the community. I was so impressed with their effort to take their Regional Scholastic Art Awards online. With over 3,000 works of art, the program reaches so many students in the local community. And carrying out the program made a difference to those artists, but they also showed a commitment to making sure they were recognized in a virtual way in place of their typical award ceremony. I suspect that they were able to reach a lot more people with their online efforts than they typically would have been able to, simply because of the ability to share things online with maybe family and friends who might not have been able to attend the recognition event. And their views certainly speak to that in terms of how many people they were reaching online. I especially commend the way that they are encouraging exhibits like Our Strength is Our People, which commemorate the ways our society has changed or the challenges we've faced while helping the community process those same things over the last year, or well, the things that have happened over the last year, but we'll be processing them for quite some time, I'm sure. It's admirable that in the midst of great change, they've really been thinking ahead a lot to future exhibits that will help us all move beyond where we are now to finding our new normal. So I thought they did a great job.
Very nice. Thank you, Heather. Are there any additional comments, Lisa, Katie, that you'd like to share? Opposing views?
Not opposing at all. I
Okay.
think what I truly enjoyed reading was the fact that they inadvertently identified an issue within the homes, that there was a lack of art supplies. And I'm hoping that then that could even cultivate into a new program where they can start supplying that at home. I would also love to see how the two labor instances overlap and even intertwine, because we are experiencing that even now during the pandemic. So I just thought everything that they did was relevant, and it really opened up a lot of opportunities for them.
Thank you, Katie, for those comments. If there are no other comments, we'll ask you ladies, make your final score, either edit or update or keep it the same online. And raise your thumb when you're done. 1, 2, 3. All right, we'll bring Alex back in and move on to the next one. There's Alex. Thanks so much. And actually, the next application is one that Alex is the reader on, so we had to wait for her. So this is the South Bend Symphony Orchestra Association, Inc. Alex is our reader. So Alex, take it away.
Right. So I thought that the SBSO came up with a really creative solution to bring their musicians and the community together through their octet program. And then through partnering with the South Bend Museum of Art, as well as through, I think it was St. Joe Medical Center. Let me pull that up. Yep, the St. Joseph Regional Medical Center. So I thought this was an innovative program, a unique way to make music personal when it's usually something so grand, being an orchestra, and then also making sure that it is put in places where the public can access it in different ways. And I thought that was very innovative, and I'm really pleased that they plan to continue doing this in the future.
Excellent. Access is always important, isn't it, for art? If no one can see it, it's hard. All right, great comments. Any additional comments, new comments, opposing viewpoints from any of the other panelists? Having seen none, we'll ask you make your final score for the South Bend Symphony Orchestra Association, Inc. Either update or keep it the same online, and raise your thumb. Let me know. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. We have a consensus. We're moving on. Thank you very much to the South Bend Youth Symphony Orchestras, Inc. This reader is Katie. Take it away, Katie.
Yes. I feel like this organization was able to bring the orchestral organization to modern times, because it's always a challenge to do so. They went above and beyond, not only to meet the mission of the, excuse me, I want to make sure I'm in the right place.
Oh, sure.
Yes. Okay, excuse me. Not only to meet the mission and the needs of their consumers, but also meet the financial struggle individuals' families have had, which at a performing arts center, to be able to financially support their constituents while still remaining very modest in their own funding is, I feel like, needed to be commended. There's very good evidence of diverse collaboration with local community members, as well as local foundations, national online education. So they've really spread their wings in that sense. I feel like they made the compromises they need to, but I don't think anything was compromised in order to do so.
Good. Thank you for your comments. Very well done. Any additional comments, new information, opposing viewpoints?
Sure. I will second. I was pretty impressed with their full scholarship support for students. I thought that was a wonderful commitment to their students, especially in an uncertain financial environment. I was curious how many students actually applied for the funding and would appreciated that tidbit of information. I'm also impressed with the program to provide music lessons to low-income students who I imagine don't often have the chance for one-on-one instruction like that. I would have appreciated more information about how that program is being marketed to potential students, and I didn't see the program listed on the website for the organization. So, and there wasn't any marketing information provided. So I thought that would have been helpful to know.
Very good. Did anybody else notice any of the missing information that Heather referenced? Any other comments? Seeing no additional comments, we ask you make your final score for the South Bend Youth Symphony Orchestras, Inc. Either update online or keep it the same. And thumbs up when you're done. All right, thank you, ladies. We will move on then to the South Hole Dance Theater. The South Hole Dance Theater, our reader is Lisa. Tell us all about the dance.
Okay, just a second, let me find my.
Sure, take your time, no problem.
So the Southhold Dance Theater thoughtfully remained engaged with their students and their community during this past year. I mean, dance is a particularly hard medium to socially distance, so they really rose to the challenge of offering virtual instruction to their students during this time. They actually provided quite a bit of instruction throughout the whole last year. So they should be commended for working hard to do that, because I know that was an incredible challenge. Also, though it's not a new program, it's a their traditional performance of the Nutcracker was reimagined so that it could reach people throughout this challenging time. So they exploited new partnerships with WNIT and created the Nutcracker for television viewing, which I thought was great. It obviously probably reached a broader audience, or potentially reach a broader audience. So I appreciate that they did that. And they also, because most traditional venues were closed, they got clever and staged their Nutcracker performance in front of different historical places throughout the community. So I think they're to be commended for really rising to the challenge in a difficult time, especially for their particular art form.
I agree. You know, who's your artist? We have a strong goal and drive to make things happen. We're not going to be stopped no matter what. So that's a great example of that, right, Lisa? So thanks for noticing that about the South Hole Dance Theater. Any additional comments, opposing views, new information? Having seen none from the panelists, we'll ask you make the final score for the South Hole Dance Theater, either online, either keeping it the same or updating it. Raise your thumb when you're done. All right, thank you, ladies. We're moving on to the Maple City Chamber Orchestra Society, Inc., and our reader is Alex.
Okay, so while I'm pleased that such an in-depth review of the board occurred and understand that the evaluation will be critical to their survival, I didn't feel that their response in this section answered the question about delivering arts experiences to Indiana citizens or providing artistic experiences to the underserved communities at this time. Some of that information was loosely provided in the main grant portion, but it was not held in this merit award section. And for that reason, I don't recommend them for a merit award at this time.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Are there any opposing comments, additional comments, similar comments?
Yeah, just a supporting comment. I feel like they've been really, really wise in how they've invested in their future by shoring up their infrastructure this past year. But I agree. I didn't see information about how they delivered arts experiences to the public this past year.
Thank you for those comments. Katie, Lisa, any additional comments? All right, we'll ask you make your final score online and indicate with a thumbs up your final when you're done. All right, thank you, ladies. We'll move on to the Music Village, otherwise known as the Village of Community Arts Alliance, Inc. And Heather is our reader.
Sure, I'll take just a minute to bring it up.
Sure.
Okay. I thought the Music Village did a great job of transitioning program online this past year. They even went beyond that to develop new programming in response to feedback from their audience. I also liked that they had created opportunities for lifelong learners in addition to school age children. Lifelong learners seem to have had fewer opportunities for online activities this past year compared to younger people. I also really appreciated that they expanded their scholarship offerings and offered so many free opportunities, like their music camps, jams, free vocal coaching, during a time when a lot of student families were likely to be struggling, but also more in need of activities like this. So I thought they did a great job, and definitely recommend them for merit consideration.
Thank you, Heather. Are there any additional comments, new ones, or opposing comments that anybody would like to share? Seeing none, we'll ask you make the final score for the Village of Community Arts Alliance, Inc. online, either by keeping it the same from your original review or editing it based upon the panelists' comments today. Please indicate with a thumbs up when you're done. All right. Our next application is by the Wagon Wheel Center for the Arts, and Katie has a conflict, so we'll ask Katie to zoom out to the hold room, have loads of fun, and we'll wait till she's gone. Alex will be our reader. There she goes. All right, Alex, tell us all about the Wagon Wheel Center for the Arts.
So I felt that they really took the needs of their community to heart when they developed their alternative programming for the year, from developing new youth programming to providing free resources for families, and their commitment to equity, diversity, inclusion, and access. I thought that those were all really phenomenal things that they had done in this past year to really make sure that they still stayed connected to their students, even returning to, sorry, I lost where my place was in here.
It's fine, no worries. Take your time, it's okay.
Making sure that they did acting exercises, so they even returned to things that families could do together in these times. So I thought that was a really interesting and great opportunity.
Yes, that's a fabulous program. So thank you for your information. Any additional comments, new comments, opposing comments?
I just have an in addition to comment in regard to their equity and diversity efforts. I've seen a lot of organizations focusing on building diversity of their boards or their leadership, but what I really was impressed with Wagon Wheel for was how they have developed a committee that includes a lot of diverse voices from throughout the community, not just racial diversity, but lots of different types of diversity, and that their focus is on getting the committee's feedback on how they can address program policy and physical changes to build relationships with more underserved community groups. I just felt like there was a subtle but really important shift in how they're trying to be more equitable and diverse in their programming to serve everybody in the community and not just focused on their own leadership.
That's an excellent additional comment. Thank you, Heather. We appreciate that. Any other additional new opposing comments? If not, we'll ask you make the final score for the Wagon Wheel Center for the Arts. Either keep your score the same online or update it and indicate by raising a thumb when you're done. All right, we can bring back in Katie. Everyone is completed with that application. And once Katie joins us, we will move on to our final merit award. All right, thank you for joining us again, Katie. This is our final merit award consideration application by the Wild Rose Moon. Katie is our reader. Share with us, Katie, what you read and saw.
Yes, I was truly impressed how open the organization has been to adaptation and change during the pandemic. I also love that they have taken all this time to create this working model and then even provide it to other similar organizations. So that way those organizations can take what this particular organization has learned, apply it to their own organization to help it grow, because it's, it takes a village. I think that the organization could benefit the underserved committee by possibly collaborating with diverse local artists, which I think they already do, even direct marketing campaigns. I think there's also an opportunity to take this working model and apply it to maybe some collaborations with groups such as Boys and Girls Club, things like that, to be able to have like one-on-one interaction of underserved students with the artist. But otherwise, I felt like they really did a great job at taking what is normally an in-person experience and making it virtual, and really, making it a very high-class virtual event.
Excellent comments. Thank you, Katie. Any additional comments? Yes, Alex.
Yeah, and in supportive of all of that feedback, I also want to say that I'm thrilled that they continue to provide stipends to their artists, especially when you're having 2020 was a tough financial year for a lot of arts organizations and for a lot of artists especially. So knowing that they were committed to paying their artists for their time, even if it was just a small amount, it's huge for the people who are participating and making sure that they can continue with their creative pursuits. So I thought that was really commendable, and I'm thrilled that they did that.
Very good. Thank you. Any additional comments? Lisa, Heather, Katie? Seeing none, we ask that you make your final score for the Wild Rose Moon online and indicate with a thumbs up when you're completed your review. All right. This concludes the Region 2 Arts Organization Support Panel process. Applicants will be notified of the status of their grant following the IAC's June Commission meeting. If you have any questions, please contact Kayla Myers, Program Manager at the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County at 574-232-0041. Thank you all for participating. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, and we'll just ask